Hello, hello, my little freaks. Bootsy Greenwood here. And I want to start talking about Tufti. I promised I would a while ago to Allison, and the opportunity's here. So I'm going to do that. Also saw a comment asking for it as well. So here we go. Let's jump into it. It's one of the best books ever. It's written weird, very, very kind of strange, because it's almost like she's insulting you the whole time, which is kind of funny. Before we get started, I do want to just go ahead and plug. I do extra things on Patreon. I have free things over there. Please check it out if you get a chance. I also do comedy, Flying Squid Comedy on YouTube. We have about 12 subscribers now. I'm excited. We're doing lots of live streaming and stuff like that. So please check it out if you want to get a laugh, or I mean, who knows? Maybe you just roast us. Who knows? Bootsy Greenwood is my handle everywhere, not just here on YouTube. So please, if you're on the social medias, give me a follow. I don't really love that term either, but whatever, it is what it is. I'm putting up puppet videos and all kinds of weird stuff for the apocalypse. So this book is weird. She also, I'll mention that I'm trying to work on the glare here. So I got your message, Anna. I'll try and do better about that. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I'll do better there. Maybe I can get some softer lights in here and some time and things, because it seems like we're gonna be isolated a fair amount coming up. Anyway, she is a firecracker, we might call her. Totally my type, by the way. Totally just like insulting and coming in like a bull in a china shop. And she's painted red and she's fiery and all this kind of stuff. When I first read the book, I was kind of put off by it, to be honest, because it just seemed weird. But in the beginning, she says, we were deprived of a self-instruction manual, right? We actually have many, but I don't think that we know very well how to interpret those. So this is her version of a self-instruction manual for us, and there are many. We're going to see a lot of things that are basically the same idea, but it's a different metaphor. And what's cool about the film metaphor, for me, is I understand film pretty well, and I'm going to go through and explain all of these film terms that she uses, but you couldn't use anything that wasn't already exactly what was to explain what is, okay? So I know that's kind of a weird statement. My point is that movies exist because they are essentially very much like reality, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about dreams. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about perspective and attention. Attention being the most important part of the book, of any spiritual book. Where your attention goes, energy flows. Basically all we are is attention, which I've said before. I believe Tufti says that in her book as well. So Tufti. However we decide to do that. So time is eternal, and it moves like a film roll, okay? So think about a long time ago, if you had ever been to a movie theater and they rolled a film, right? Or a film projector or something like that. Each piece of film is basically a picture, and that's what's going on. So in one picture, if, like in an animation, think of an animation, the person or character is like this, then like this, then like this, then like this, and they're moving, but they're moving a frame at a time, right? So that's what we're using here, okay? We're seeing that there's some sort of awareness that lights up the frame as it rolls. So time is eternal. It's not really real, but it moves like a film roll. The past. Is the past real? Is the present real? Is the future real? Most of us do live in the present, okay? We live in, let's call this the present frame. All right, so we're in the present frame, and the problem is we're trying to change the present frame, right? But time is eternal and it moves like a film roll, so if we want to change something and we fight against the current frame, we're just actually making it worse. What is the Buddhist saying? What you resist persists. So the more you fight against something, the more you're just actually keeping it that way. It's actually becoming worse. Instead, what we need to do is we need to project toward the future and create a better film roll for ourselves in the future, or a film, part picture. The past, is it real? Well, as we know, all reality is part of infinity, right? So let's go over here for a second. So she talks about the two-layer onion. the two layers that we perceive. And there may be more, and I'm sure there is a lot more to reality than just the dream world and the third dimensional world. I'm sure there is. Now, for our awareness sakes, that's what we're going to focus on. All right. So this is constantly expanding infinity, the dream space, right? Where we go when we dream, where the subconscious mind flies to. And then this is a box, third dimensional reality here, right? We see this as a square. It's finite, it's physical, it has rules. Like I was talking about before, there are objective rules in this reality that we must abide by. Now, outside of that, in the dream space, that's where infinity is. So yes, is this real? Absolutely. Every reality that ever existed exists, period. That's just how that works, right? It's like in the Kabbalion, the world is a mental thing. Like reality is mental, you know? That's it. That mental world is infinity, right? And we find ourselves on present roles because of how we've projected into the future. And a lot of times it's because we haven't projected at all into the future. And that's where this idea of the script comes in and the idea of the mannequin characters, but that's later on in the book. So we don't want to jump too far ahead. Okay, so here we are in our self-instruction manual. She's explaining the allegory of the film role and how reality is like a movie, okay? So one thing I want to keep in mind, and I just want to seed this, reality and possibility are not the same things, okay? Again, we live in this third dimensional box, this very finite reality, right? And so there's only so much possible within that. Now, reality, infinite. Every reality absolutely exists, 100%. So now she starts talking about two screens. She's talking about how we're always asleep. We're asleep when it's a waking life time. We're also asleep when we're dreaming. We're always asleep is what she's saying. So what is the opposite of sleep? Awareness, right? Conscious awareness. So she talks about the inner screen and the outer screen, right? So the outer screen could be like a daydream. Like I'm just like, ugh. The inner screen would be like sleeping and you're not aware that you're sleeping. I personally, I don't dream and become aware of dreams a lot when I'm asleep. Those are called lucid dreams, but I have some friends who are dreamers, and that is a huge key to some amazing findings about yourself and beyond, right? Like into this sphere here, this dream world, the metaphysical world, right? Like the all-encapsulative infinity that's continuously expanding, continuously. There's a lot there, okay? But she talks about the center screen, right? So like the outer screen, daydream, inner screen is like, oh man, I hate everything. My life sucks. Everything's bad. This is stupid and blah, 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 blah. That would be retreating to the inner screen. So what we want to do is we're going to find the center screen and put our attention there, right? There we go. That's what we want. That's a good idea because that puts us at an observation point that means that we basically have one foot in one world and one foot in the other world, and we're focused. We see ourselves and we see reality. We see what's really going on. We're aware of what's going on in our body. We're aware of what's going on outside of ourselves. Reality has mostly shoved us into a box where we think for ourselves, but it's all these other opinions, right? But if we can become self-aware, self-conscious, now we can see ourselves, we can see reality, and we can actually, now we can make decisions that are based on, you know, things that are in our awareness that actually make a difference instead of making decisions based on our own compulsive reactions, right? So now I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. I could do this, this, or this. Now, if I was angry and reactive, then I would probably make a stupid decision, right? That makes sense. Now, if I'm aware of myself and reality and what's going on as well, now I can make a better, more informed choice. So I don't have to overreact, okay? So this step one, you know, becoming self-aware, finding a center point, and that can be anywhere, by the way. For me, I like to use my heart as that center point. That's where I like to focus my attention. And I'll talk more about that in time, but I don't want to get too far away. So how we have control over reality is via self-awareness. It's not by forcing somebody else to do something that we wish for them to do. It's not by trying to manipulate them or convince them or force them or be mean to them and bully them or shame them. There's a lot of shame being passed around right now, and I advise you all to not participate. But control comes via self-awareness. That's where it comes from. And so we're going to learn about how we can shift our outer world, not in a delusional way, but how we can change our outer world. But that process is going to be from the inside out, right? It's not from the outside in. Outside in is manipulation, coercion, etc. Those are not spiritual things, right? Those are forceful things, okay? So we want to control ourself, right? Be aware of ourselves and what we're doing, and then that is going to have a bigger influence into the world. First of all, it's going to give us more control over ourselves, right? And then we're going to be able to influence other people as a result. So the first thing that she recommends is to go for a walk, to wake up in the dream, right? And so like it's a dream and it's real, right? All of these things it's so funny, but let's say that we have outer screen, and we've seen this before, an inner screen, okay? And we want to lock these things together, masculine, feminine awareness, right? And then that is going to be, that's going to be us operating in a way that is self-aware, okay? That's what self-awareness is, understanding exactly what is going on in your body as well as what is going on in the external world. Now, there's a lot of other really cool things that we can do to work on ourselves, and we're going to get into that, but I just wanted to start here at the beginning. You know, we're going to take our awareness and we're going to see ourselves and reality, right? We're going to see with our heart, we're going to think with our mind, all of it, right? We're not going to throw one this way or one the other way, but we see ourselves, we see reality. Reality is not possibility, right? But what we want to do is cultivate the best reality that is possible for ourselves and everyone else. We're going to talk about influencing factors. We're going to talk about what he calls the script, which have a lot to do with pendulums, how to adjust that, how to find ourselves in a better reality, navigating the reality that we're presented with. So you think for yourself. Let's know that we think for ourselves. Let's think for ourselves. Let's operate in free thought and become self-aware, because the control over ourself via self-awareness is what's going to allow us to live in a better reality overall for ourselves and for everyone else. We'll make better decisions. We'll be more mindful, be more aware, we'll be more loving, compassionate, all of those types of things. So that is step one of Tufti. And yeah, I'm presenting Tufti with a spoonful of sugar, perhaps. I don't even know. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you.